Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Kari, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jenn.
Hi there, I'm Jenn, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey. Hey, everybody. Welcome back into the podcast. I'm Jenn. We have Kari here. We're excited it seems like we have had a lot to say about anxiety, Kari.
Yeah.
I think it's because I've personally struggled with it in the past. We have a ton of people that come to us because they're anxious or overwhelmed. And so if you haven't listened to the past 2 episodes, I would highly suggest that you go back and just listen to those 2 episodes because those are on the physical aspect of anxiety, which are super important to address. Today, though, we are going to talk about what's considered true anxiety. So the physical anxiety, I don't love these terms, but it's a good definition that Dr. Ellen Vora, MD, coined. And she considered really the physical symptoms of anxiety to be a false anxiety. And today we're going to talk about what she considers true anxiety, which is if you've optimized the physiology and you still can't relax. This is really your emotional compass telling you something isn't okay. It's kind of, a tap on the shoulder. God might be saying, hey, I need you to address something. There might be a discrepancy either morally or, some discrepancies with integrity. It might be purpose related. So your anxiety has information to offer. And so you just need to get curious about what that might be. And we just have to ask, why am I having this anxiety? What could it be? Now, with that being said, anxiety is tricky because your nervous system is sort of in a state of dysregulation, right? And so we have to work with what's called your window of tolerance. So what does that mean? That means you have to be able to get curious within what is comfortable for your nervous system. And while a lot of this stuff that you might have to get curious about is uncomfortable, it has to be within your window of tolerance. So if it makes your anxiety worse as you're doing some of the things that we're going to talk about, and you can't, now initially it might make it worse, which is okay, right? Because it's bringing it to the surface. It's taking it from the subconscious and bringing it to the conscious mind so we can address it. But if that happens and your anxiety is heightened for the next, week, that's not okay. That means you went outside your window of tolerance, right? So if it starts disturbing your sleep, it starts suppressing your appetite, or changing your appetite, those are things that we just want to be aware of, so that you can stay within that window of tolerance. So, and really what you're facing, anxiety might be different and unique for each person. That's why it's really just about getting curious about why you're having this anxiety show up. So, Kari, do you want to talk just a little bit about what it's usually related to?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to make sure these terms that we're using make sense and you understand them. Sorry, Max is talking. So the window of tolerance for each person is going to be different. This is just a term used to describe what is what is uh and what will fit into the window that you can handle and what is outside of that. Meaning that what's just too much right now for you to maybe dig into or tackle, etc. Does that, hopefully that kind of makes more sense as far as like what the window of tolerance is. And so it's okay to kind of go a little bit outside of those bounds, but you don't want to go so far outside of those bounds that you can't come back within what feels safe for you, what is good for you right now where you're at. Um, and so when we're talking about, looking at what is causing some of this, you just want to, maybe pray about it and be discerning about, about trying to honor your window of tolerance. But really, the things that we're talking about and the tools that we're going to share with you will help you expand that window of tolerance so that you can handle more, you can dig in deeper, etc. But sometimes that happens, over a long period of time, and sometimes, you can widen your window of tolerance quickly. So, um, a lot of this has to do with the nervous system. Because if you are constantly anxious, that means that you are constantly, more so most of the time, you're staying in your fight or flight sympathetic side of your nervous system. You're not really fully getting into that rest and digest, the healing part of your nervous system. And so that's kind of why you're feeling on edge all the time and you might be feeling anxious, is because you can't really shift into that other side of your nervous system very well. So these are some reasons why that might be. Now, we've already talked about the physical reasons that might be. We're talking more about the underlying emotional, spiritual issues that might be going on. So one of these would definitely be past events, past traumas, what we're calling repressed emotions. That's probably something that the term that you've heard. That just means things that have happened in the past that you maybe not have fully dealt with, fully grieved, fully sat with, if that makes sense, and really felt. This is, I don't know if you would agree, Jen, but I feel like this is probably one of the number one things that causes you to be dysregulated, causes anxiety. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I think that, past traumas, so that, traumas, those fight or flight events that are stuck in the amygdala in the in the emotional brain need to be processed. And we've talked about that, as Kari said, within that window of tolerance. Usually, if you can sit with a difficult emotion for a minute and a half, so 90 seconds, your body is able to then process and release that emotion. So it's really not a long time to sit
Yeah.
with the uncomfortable if you can.
Yeah. So again, it's I know we use the word trauma, and obviously there's big trauma, big T trauma, but there's also just little events that happen that maybe we didn't fully sit with, fully um uh, feel. And so we're very distracted. We're very, we just want to move on to the next thing because it doesn't feel good. And so that's what we're saying. If you find yourself doing that a lot, you have done that over the years, and this could be current, this could be from 15 years ago, this could, it's just, there's so many things, that affect us. And so that's one of the biggest things for sure. And so just sitting with those things, and we really like to recommend um, a type of journaling technique that is about 5 or 10 minutes in length, and you literally just ask yourself, like, how am I feeling really, or what's disturbing my peace, etc. And it's just a way that you can be. It's really, you want to be in truth with what happened and how you're feeling about it. That's really the goal of that exercise. So that's something that you might could consider adding in, and really,
I'm
it.
sorry, I just wanted to
Oh,
say
you're
something
good.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. So I think something that I've used, I'd say more recently, especially with journeying, what is discerning my peace? But I've asked God in prayer, like, where am I not living in truth?
yeah,
Right? Because sometimes there's things that we might be hiding. We don't even know that we're hiding from ourselves. We're hiding from God. So you could also journal with that prompt.
yeah,
Pray with it. Where am I not living in truth? And for me, that kind of segues into the next one. Kari, did
yeah.
you have something else to say about
No,
trauma?
no, no. You go ahead. No,
Okay.
it's good. Mhm.
So, for me was, my purpose. This was a big one. I know when God started kind of, telling me that I needed to quit my job, there was a lot of anxiety around that
Yeah.
because I needed to explore what that meant for me and for my life. But God was, really tapping me on the shoulder saying that, really, I have more for you.
Mm.
And are you willing to disturb, your current comfortableness so that I can lead you to something higher? And God leading you to something higher is not always comfortable. In fact, I would say the majority of the time it's not.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely.
So, uh, that anxiety could be related to where God is calling you. Like, are you willing to be changed and shifted by what God is telling you, by what you hear in prayer, by what you see in your journaling, by what is coming up? Is
Yeah.
God asking you to leave a current season of your life that maybe you love and that
Mm.
you don't want to leave, but God is calling you to the next season and you're resisting, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, or have you always had this dream on your heart? Where is God finally calling you to that dream and you're ignoring it, right?
Mm.
There's signs that he wants to move you, but you're ignoring them, right?
Yeah.
Um, for me, this was a really, really big pivotal piece of my anxiety. Was God calling me to something different, into a different season, and to really what my true purpose and what I've always dreamed about doing. And so sometimes it's uncomfortable, but again, God will lead you through it.
Yeah. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? That's kind of the goal.
Preach, sister.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yeah. And, I was just thinking as you were saying that, I know some of the listeners might be like, yeah, like that I want to lean into that. I want to hear from the Lord. I want to do these things. But it's hard to find stillness sometimes when you're anxious. But that's where a lot of these things really where the rubber meets the road, if that makes sense. And so it basically your body, or your mind is, like, not wanting to be in stillness. It's a protection mode, but that's your soul wants to. And so you have to fight for that stillness sometimes, even though it's uncomfortable, because that's really what you need to do. But again, your body is almost it's trying to survive. So if it's stuck in this more fight or flight, right? It's just saying, just keep going. Just keep running from basically what you need to do. And so it's almost a counterintuitive, even and it might feel really like this is uncomfortable and this doesn't feel right. And I just need to be doing something right now. That's a really good sign that that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, and sometimes these aren't exclusive of each other. So we talked about, processing the trauma and the repressed emotions is sometimes first necessary to get you out of that fight or flight
Yeah.
so that you can sit still and you can feel and pray and contemplate what God is calling you to next or
Yeah.
um using the journaling, using the tapping. We've talked about emotional freedom technique to sort of process some of those emotions so that you can sit in the still.
Yeah. So, this is where I think removing distractions and just getting out in nature without a phone, without something in your ears. If you find yourself constantly having input, try to just eliminate a little bit at a time. Maybe you don't always need to be listening to a podcast. You don't always need to have, even if it's Christian music, that was one thing that I used to always listen to music all the time, even on walks, even, it was just, I found myself, that's what I kind of had gotten into a habit of. But I realized, like, we can't hear from the Lord if we're constantly having input from whatever it might be, even if it's good things. So that might be a good place for you to start. Just get outside and just, be in nature. And that's so calming and grounding to our body and to our mind. And so, whether it's the journaling or meditation on a verse, just sitting in stillness, walks in nature, tapping, as Jenn mentioned, and we actually have a free download that explains how to tap and even oils to use and different things like that that'll make it even more effective. So if that's new to you, we do have an episode we'll link, but we do have a free download that you can check out as well.
Yeah, so we would say if it is a true anxiety, that true healing really involves healing on the psychospiritual level. And this involves, deep connection to self, self-acceptance, community, being vulnerable with people,
Yep.
having somebody to share the load, and then, of course, reconnecting and finding purpose. So if you'd like to have more of a conversation around those, or if you'd love to learn more about what we do, reach out to us, hello@cornerstoneintegrativehealing.com. We'd love to have that conversation with you.
See you guys on the next episode.
If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you'd share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we are praying for you.